dirty writing task is to write a letter of advice to Mr. and Mrs. Johansson regarding their son, Mr. Sammy Johansson, who was diagnosed with distal radius fracture while he was admitted at Melbourne City Hospital, where you are his nurse. Let us look into the case note first. If we look into the case note in detail, we can see that there are two dates given, which is the admission date and the discharge date. Here the admission date is irrelevant and not to be mentioned in the letter, but you have to mention the discharge date in the introduction paragraph of the letter. The date of the letter will be today's date since it is specifically given in the case note and it is essential to know when the service should be provided. The name and date of birth of the patient are important and has to be mentioned in the reference part of the letter. Since this letter is written to the patient's parents, you can avoid the social and medical history from the case note since they already know this information. All the information provided in the treatment part are important and has to be mentioned in the letter. The advice part in the case note is of utmost importance and should be emphasized in the letter with importance because the case note specifically says this is an advice letter. Therefore, all the information mentioned here are important and has to be mentioned in the letter. However, you should try to frame the letter in an organized manner so as to maintain the continuity of the letter. Taking all these points, we have to prepare a letter in an organized manner. Now let us see how we can write a letter with the help of a sample letter written by a candidate from India. The format of the date is wrong. Here, you should write the date as 03 November, 2015. The date and salutation written are correct. In the reference, the candidate has missed the title Master in front of the name. Moving to the introduction paragraph, Sammy needs further care and assistance after his discharge, which is not a proper way of writing introduction. Instead, you must write, I am writing to provide guidance on further care and assistance for Master Sammy following his discharge, which would be a much better way to frame this introduction. Moving to the second paragraph, Sammy was admitted to the hospital on 2/11/2015 with complaints of pain, tiredness, bruising and swelling on the arm following a fall. He was diagnosed with distal radius fracture through X-ray. A plaster cast was applied and has been commenced on ibuprofen and acetaminophen to relieve pain and inflammation, which is perfect. Moving to the third paragraph, as per plan, please give him painkillers regularly for first 2 or 3 days. Please make sure that he is not overdose or get addicted to those medications. If we could start physical therapy, it will improve his movement and functions of the injured wrist. Here the second sentence can be reframed as please make sure not to overdose as it may lead to addiction to medication, which is much better and impressive. The last sentence written is not that perfect. Here you must say Master Sammy can start with physical therapy to improve his movement and functions of the injured wrist. After this, you have to mention when you have to start the physical therapy. Moving to the fourth paragraph, kindly keep the cast dry by covering the arm with a plastic bag while showering. Cast to be removed after 6 weeks if he has no complication. He can perform light activities within 1 or 2 months. Please note that he needs to repeat X-ray after 3 weeks, which is almost okay, but here we can see that the name of the patient is not mentioned in any of these paragraphs. You should mention the name of the patient at least once in all the paragraphs and then you can use pronouns. Coming to the wind-up sentence, you have to mention the name of the patient along with the sentence. Then it becomes, if you need further clarifications regarding Master Sammy Johansson, kindly contact a member of nursing staff or doctors. The sign of written is correct. Bearing the introduction, which seems to be very short, rest of the letter seems to be fine. This letter can get a score of 300. Thank you.
New method for OET learning. How are you preparing? Online or offline? For speaking and writing, you can get tutor reviews. How will you be able to manage your reading and listening? How can you manage your self-practice easier than never before? Learn OET in Merlin's way. Most successful OET learning method from world's best online trainer. Chat now, mentormerlinexam.com.